Our viewers, wonderful viewers, thank you for not moving from your seat. And for those of you who moved from your seat, I hope you're not missing already. So please get back to your seat and get yourself glued, because the messages are definitely coming in, the contributions are coming in, and the viewers are sending in their contributions to make us know what they think about the question we have for you today. So we have our first contribution coming from Mr. George, and he says, "Greetings to everyone at the studio. I am Mr. George from Tico." Good evening to you too, Mr. George. He says, "Looking at it from a social point of view, people of today's generation give so much importance to social media. Nowadays, that has become their priority. They prefer social media sites and forget about things like family, school, sports, and God, which should come first. I think it is a destructive factor in that domain." So Mr. Maffy, you're smiling already. Thank you, Mr. George, for sending in your contribution. Thank you so much for sending in your contribution. So Mr. Maffy, Mr. George says that in the social domain, it's particularly distracting people from the day-to-day activities and our normal routines, which is having time for our family, our friends, our school, you know, being industrious. Yeah, and God, who is ultimate, right? He is ultimate. So he says it is distracting us, and definitely it's a destructive factor. What do you think about his contribution?
Well, good evening to him first. But I will say this, it's distracting. It's a distracting factor for those who want to take it towards a negative direction.
Oh.
Because I believe, and I strongly believe in this concept, that if Jesus had to come back in the 2019s or maybe the 2000s, he would have been using a smartphone.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sure he would have been on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
Because I don't think he would have been able to touch the world without being online. Then you could see the guy was walking up and down trying to spread the gospel. And now he can just sit on his phone and he would have spread the gospel.
Oh, really? That's amazing.
So I think, yes, so a lot of people are taking it to the negative sides. Like, you see a lot of people just using it to showcase funny stuff, nudes and all the crazy stuff that are going out there. But there are a lot of people who are actually taking it towards a positive direction. And in everything in life, let's try to bring the balance. Nothing in life comes without a negative side. Okay. Even eating too much has its negative impact. Drinking too much has a negative impact. There is nothing that doesn't have a negative side. So when we put our sights on the negativity of things, we tend to not appreciate its positivity naturally.
Okay.
And so I will just tell Mr. George that it's amazing what he's saying, which is true, because I personally have lost touch with most people because I am on social media, but it's on the positive side. Most of my friends in our WhatsApp group, they tell me, Maffy only comes when it's business time. And I'm like, what else should I come for? What else? Because I'm like, what else is there to impact my life if it's not trying to make a difference in your community? Why are you on it? So, Mr. George, I would say, yeah, a lot of people have this tendency of using it negatively. I don't want to enter into the cyberbullying, cyber crimes and all the like, but we all know what is happening, and we should thank God that at least most of the people are tending to use it for the positive nature nowadays. You can go to your WhatsApp status and you see a lot of people, they have like long statuses of dresses, shoes. People are doing business on social media. That's true. That's so serious. And we should not look at the negative aspect of it and instead try to motivate ourselves towards its positive side.
That's true, Mr. Maffy. I actually buy your point of view, because I don't really think social media is completely destructive, but with the kind of society we have, a lot of people do different things with social media, and they get themselves too drowned in it that they forget about their environment. Like for instance, you have a lady who particularly forget about her household activities because she's constantly on Snapchat. She's constantly on Snapchat. She's constantly on WhatsApp viewing people's status. It's like it becomes the activity of the day. And you have youths who sit and they're like, oh, today is my day for Snapchat. Today is my time for Snapchat. Let me go dress up. Let me do this. You know, our normal youths for today now. They are slay kings and slay queens. Am I like?
No, that's true. I would not disapprove what George said. A lot of youths are not taking it towards a positive side. But over the years, what's funny is, the social media has a way it regulates your life over the years. You can't be a slave queen for more than 5 years.
That's true.
At one point, you are just focus on trying to make a life after a series of disappointments, whether family, friends, and you will not want to be slain. You will want to get into business, and your WhatsApp status will automatically transform into a marketplace.
Okay, so that is Mr. Maffy's point of view when it comes to Mr. George's contribution. So we have another contribution coming in from Mr. Brandon, sorry. He says, good evening to the CMTV crew, good evening to you too. I am Brandon from Limbe. I think social media is one of the best ways of marketing products, connecting with people and finding a new business opportunity. Also, it helps the employers to get employees and also places job seekers at opportunities beck and call. For instance, around 87% of recruited jobs have been founded on LinkedIn, 30% on Facebook, and 15% on Twitter. Thank you, Mr. Brandon, for your contribution. Wow, I really love this. It carries weight, carries a lot of weight. So, Mr. Maffy, Mr. Brandon is telling us today, and to our viewers back at home, that he doesn't think that it's a destructive factor for our society and for youth, because it places youth at positions where they can practically get jobs, and he's saying, based on statistics, because I see him giving percentages here, he's saying 87% of recruited jobs have been found on LinkedIn, and then you have 30% on Facebook and 15% on Twitter.
True.
So it boils down to what you were saying, that
true.
It depends.
I would say this, I think there are a lot of youth watching, and I'll tell them this, I'm also a youth. I would say people don't longer really look at Cameroonians' CV. Because truth be told, Cameroonians have the CV personality. Like you see a Cameroonian CV is so powerful. Like this guy, we know our country, we know how people work around with things. But it's easy for me to know if I've spoken to a lot of employees, and one particularly told me that he takes time just to twist documents from Cameroonians. And I was like, sir, why would you say that? He was like, because it's easy for me to just pick a Cameroonian, take his telephone number, or look at his reference, and I know he's not serious. I'm like, okay, how? He says, take their social media platform. If you can watch somebody for 1 week or even 3 days on WhatsApp status, you will know how serious the person is. And I was like, that's true, really. 3 days of your life, there should definitely something happening in your life that's so serious that you are focused on. Okay. If you have a goal or a dream you're working towards, it should be on your status regularly. That somebody, I think I've known you for a while, and it's easy for me to know where you have been, the stuff you are doing. I can tell people your vision. Okay. To a good level. Okay. Because of how focused you are on your social media.
That's right. That's true.
And LinkedIn is it's amazing that we in Cameroon don't really use it. When I went, after I was done in Kenya, I went to Rwanda, and I realized that's the platform that is actually running over those countries, and it's not Facebook.
Oh, really?
And I was like,
wow.
Okay, what the hell am I doing on Facebook? I was like, should I leave? Because these guys are like, I saw the amount of Twitter too. Okay. You see the amount of followership they're already having there. And at the moment, mine was at 223. And I was like, okay, this guy's having 5,000 people following him on Twitter alone. I'm not sure they are up to that amount in Boya. So I was like, this is not right. So we need to get serious on our social media platforms. A lot of people don't live like there is a tomorrow. Because there are girls, I see them posting stuff, for example, no disrespect meant, but 10 years from now, you get married to a minister, for example, or you're doing something serious, or somebody moves a video from your past life and brings, and it resurfaces, and you say your village people are fighting you. No, it's not even possible. So we should clean our tracks. Our online tracks should be good for us. It should reflect a good level for us. Okay. And I'm not just speaking from the perspective of a Christian, I'm speaking from the perspective of somebody who believes that there is a better tomorrow, so we should adjust today. Okay.
All right. So, Mr. Brandon, Mr. Maffy has given his point of view on what he thinks about your contribution, and I think he's standing with you. So, hooray, hooray, hooray. So, we have another contribution coming in from one of our viewers, and she says, pardon me because I've seen the name already, I wanted to just go ahead and read it. So she says, Vanessa from Bunduma Gates. Personally, I have always loved this topic, and I talk about it all the time with friends. Wow. I strongly believe social media and the high level of technology is destroying our communities, our society, and youth at large. You can actually use social media for good, but the truth is the disadvantages exceed the advantages. Instead of improving on career objectives and lifestyle, youths, on the other hand, are going nuts. Oh, wow. They want to trend with every rubbish in the Western world. Every society has a unique culture. But if you look at youth now, nowadays, if you look at youth nowadays, everyone is trying to form swag, slowly pushing away our Cameroonian culture. There's just a lot of negativity. People do businesses, yes, but how many of those businesses are legal? They are all scammers. Oh, they show us a product and sell you something else. Thank you, Miss Vanessa from Bondumagate. Thank you so much for your contribution. Miss Vanessa is saying that she understands that social media can be used for something good. You understand? Because I see in her contribution, she says you can actually use social media for good, but the truth is the disadvantages exceed the advantages. Do you think so?
It's relative.
Relative.
It will always be relative.
Okay.
Look, a lot of people blame. They are walking around trying to apportion blames over stuff. Why would I say that? Like, we should blame ourselves. A bad citizen remains a bad citizen. Like, why would you have a beautiful platform to talk to people, network yourself around the world, and you're using it for bad business? The word is you are using it.
That's true.
You are, not the world. And with this whole negative aspect of the social media, it's as a result of it's no offense to youth, but I think it's a high level of laziness.
Okay.
They want the easy cash. You know, it's nowadays, let me use the word nyongo. Nyongo no just come on that way. Because youth will enter.
That's alright.
They want that kind of money where they can live the 5-star life, and then they remove the place of hard work.
That's swag life.
Yeah. And I will always say, the 5-star life comes at a very, very tough price. It comes at a very difficult price. You will work your ass out to be able to make ends meet, balance your account, then have the excess to spend.
That's true.
And before I started talking, I made this very clear that a lot of people should just remove. It's a platform. Remove the part where people showcase what they are not. Because when you take a beautiful picture of a beautiful male with maybe an iPhone 11 Pro Max, it's so beautiful, and you put maybe on your WhatsApp status, you tend to realize, personally I've done that a lot to see what is going to get as feedback. You tend to realize there are a lot of people that are drawn to that,
towards the image,
thinking you are living the best of their lives.
That's true. I think that's true. I think so.
But it's a meal. I was posting, it doesn't subtract the fact that you has not posted has eaten.
That's true. That's true.
And where we are getting it wrong,
Uh-huh.
it's a platform. So people are trying to run away from their day-to-day lives and enter a virtual life and create a personality.
That's
which is now something that you just admire from a distance. 90% of the things you see online are not real. Like, especially when it comes to social media platforms for chatting. We played a song earlier, which you see, there's a fake life which people are living. We can't remove that from life. There is. And it's as a result of, I told you, the laziness of people. So they want to showcase something. You have girls who post the top class pictures. They are trying, everybody's trying to draw something
to look up to a certain standard.
Because there is a picture you post on status and on your Facebook page, and everybody's writing you, hey, hello, how are you doing, and all they like. And a lot of people want that attention, and so they keep it on and they keep on, and it comes at a price, because you need the other dress to post, then you need the other venue to post, and it means you have to be displaying yourself, and it's expensive.
Not just expensive, but it also leads you to some sort of depression at some point.
Yeah.
Because when you can't keep up with such lifestyle, it actually pushes you off balance. Because you feel like you're not good enough for the society, you're not good enough for the things out there. So you think, since I cannot do this, then I'm not qualified enough to be alive. And because we've actually heard instances, so we have instances of people who have actually taken their lives though, because of this. Like they feel like, oh, they go online and look at the lives of others, and they're like, this doesn't. It looks like I am the last person on earth. It looks like
the social media has the way it rates you, like you are not doing well.
That's it. That's one thing.
I will say this to most people. I love my spiritual authority, who taught me a lot recently.
Okay.
And somehow, let's blame the church. If the church could teach the balance between spirituality and finance or kingdom relevance,
okay,
then people will be more effective.
Oh wow.
Because if you could tell people that hustle and pray, not hustle alone.
You know, some people say it takes too long. They just want it sharp, 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 sharp. It should just happen now, Maza.
Yeah, when it happens, that's the problem. It will happen as fast as you want, but can you keep up?
Okay.
Can you keep up? That's what has led a lot of you young boys into what they are doing. Can you keep up?
Oh wow.
Because recently, I honestly, I lost my grandmother this morning, and
oh, so sorry about that.
I've been thinking a lot because 2020 has come to reveal a lot of things. There are a lot of accidents, there are a lot of people dying.
Okay.
And I've been asking myself, a lot of accidents, a lot. And I've been asking myself, why this? Why really this? The point is, a lot of monies are not real. A lot. I just can't say a lot about that because I have a lot of personal opinions that might strike a lot of people, like, not get so pissed off.
Okay.
But I will say this. The social media lifestyle is completely different from your day-to-day lifestyle. When you wake up in the morning, live a good life. Live a life that is beautiful. That when you climb back on your bed every evening, you sleep and you say it was a beautiful, fulfilled day.
Okay. All right. That's Mr. Maffy's opinion. And we believe that social media can be used for good. And it's all about you disciplining yourself, not to look at the glam side of people's lives, but to look at things that would spur you to become a better version of yourself. So we have another contribution from one of our viewers, and he says, good evening, Mrs. Richard from Moliko. Good evening to you too, Mrs. Richard. She says, I think social media is destroying our society in terms of social and cultural values. Just like the girl earlier said, youth spend endless hours on it and copy negative dressing codes, lifestyle, and this has a negative impact on the moral values of our society. I think the negative outweighs the positive. So this is Mrs. Richard's contribution. Thank you so much for sending in your contribution today and for joining us on the show. So Mr. Maffy, this is another thing. She has said it. She hit the nail on the head like, bam, it's really hot, right?
I'll give that question. We should throw that question to two people. Parents and the church.
Okay.
Look, if a parent is bringing up I have a little girl.
Okay.
And when you're bringing up children, if you there is something which you are lacking in Cameroon, I don't know, maybe my community, maybe I'm the one just seeing it.
So what could that be?
Love.
Wow.
The right dimension of showing love.
Love.
So when you don't show your children the appropriate love, then they have this love deficiency.
Okay.
So most girls in Boya, for example, they don't know who a proper gentleman is. To them, a proper gentleman is the one who send them momo, take them for ice cream, do them shopping. And after I went on my status the other day, it's only in Welcome to Cameroon where a girl will pick the wrong guy. Things go wrong, and that wrong thing is always relative. So who is wrong for you is not wrong for the right next person.
That's true.
Pick the wrong guy, things go wrong, and then they go and pour it all back on all the men. Like it's all the men they were dating.
Oh.
So this thing is back to our community. Yes, it has destroyed social and our morals and our traditional customs. It's as a result of the fact that maybe the parents have not given enough.
Okay, wow.
Teach your children the dialect. Teach your children the proper way of doing things. Value is only as much as you allocate it to. So if I tell you this my paper, it's so valuable. It's so valuable. Let me use the word worship. The way I worship this paper, there is a way you see the paper, even in the hands of a stranger, you take it and keep it somewhere valuable.
That's true.
Yes, we should teach people how to really apportion values to things. There is a proper way to dress. Everybody knows, even the person wearing the wrong dressing. Even the girl wearing the short skirt or the boy exposing what he's exposing, he knows there is a proper way to dress. He knows it. Like, the beautiful part about love and life is the human conscience will not lie.
That's true. That's so true. So, Mr. Maffy is standing on the side that it is not about a specific thing,
Yes, we
but
should try to
it's
give,
based on the person and it's based on
relative.
the parents at home, like
Parents at
Mrs.
home.
Richard is talking
And the
about.
church
Yes,
is to
that's
teach
it.
people the right morals of things.
That's true, that's true. So viewers back at home, we've actually heard from Mr. Maffy and we've heard your side of this. We've heard your opinions on what you think about this topic. So right after this break, we will get back to you. So don't move from your seats because please, I'm not still tired, I'm still energized. But after this show, after this break, sorry, we will get back to you. So stay put on your